Hello! This video will walk you through how to set up your favorites in the eTrips application of SAFIS. If you have any questions after watching this video, you may call us at the number listed on the screen or send us an email, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Let's get started! You can watch previous videos to learn how to log into the program and get to this welcome screen. Once you're on this screen, you want to go to the Favorites link in your gray navigation box. Once you're in your favorites, you can start setting up your defaulted values for your headers, your effort, your species, your dealers, and your dispositions. First thing I'm going to do is set up an additional trip header. Click on this blue button here. That brings up your state, port, and vessel information. Your state should be defaulted to Massachusetts. Your port you choose from this drop-down list. So I'm going to say that my port is Gloucester. Then you'd select your vessel. You select a vessel, you select from all vessels. Now this gives a short list of a few vessels, but we actually have thousands of vessels in the system, so you really need to search by your registration number. I don't recommend searching by name. Not all names are in here, and many vessels may have the same name. You can search by any portion of the registration number, and to do so, you just type in this search box up here. So for an example, I'm just going to type in the part of a registration number and click enter, and this would bring up anything that has that string of characters in its registration number, either in the state registration number or in the Coast Guard number. Now I'm just going to pick a random vessel for this favorites example. I'm just going to click on the word select next to a boat, and this will be my favorites for my trip header. To add in your favorite efforts, you would click Add an Additional Effort. In the Waters Fished in State section, you're going to choose from this drop-down the State Waters Inshore-2, and then from the State box, you will choose Massachusetts. Now this will bring up all of the Massachusetts areas that are listed on our website. This brings up both the local and the federal areas that have a code designated by a DMF. So if you look at this list, you'll see that there's the state waters, and there are also the federal waters options. Additionally, there are all the shellfish tagging areas as well. So even if you are fishing in federal waters using your offshore lobster permit or an HMS permit, you can still use that state waters inshore designation plus Massachusetts to get your list of species. The other option would be to use Federal Waters EEZ, choose not applicable for state, then go by the federal statistical areas, which, if you look at these, it's that 539, 537, those numbers are the federal statistical areas. The shortcut is just to use State Waters Inshore 2, Massachusetts, and you'll get that short list of the most common Massachusetts areas. So I'm going to choose MA3, and then I'm using rod and reel. Here it's called hook and line. Those terms are interchangeable here. Trip gear, you will have to put in ones, even though you don't have to put anything in the paper form. The electronic form does require something to be in those fields. I'll switch the hours days flag to hours because it's mobile gear. And if I were to also have another gear that I typically use, for example, I'm going to say that I also use lobster pots, you can add another additional effort. Again, you choose State Waters Inshore, Massachusetts, and say I'm also in Area 3. In this case, I'm going to choose lobster pots. My lobster management area, so if you choose lobster pots, you will have to put in a lobster management area, would be Area 1. Trip gear quantity and total gear and water, that's where you put your number of pots. So total gear and water, that's the total number of pots that you have soaking. So I'm going to say I have 200 pots, and I typically haul 100 of them. Now all of these numbers can be changed within your trip report, so if some days you only haul 50, some days you haul all 200, that can be modified in the trip report itself. My hours days flag, that's going to be days because it's soak time, it's fixed gear, and that's it. So I'm going to hit save. That's a very important step. You don't want to lose any of this information and have to redo it. Next up is filling out your species. Now this is called the species tree on your left. Each of these species can be expanded, and you can click on the type of market and grade categories that you want to report. So I'm hook and line fishing and lobster fishing. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually enter lobster. So I find lobster in the list. You click the little plus sign next to the species name, and all the market grade categories appear underneath. Now in a trip report, you do not need to break it down by market and grade categories. So in this case, you're always going to choose that ungraded, unclassified, and then the appropriate unit next to it. So in lobster, it says ungraded, unclassified pound, which is the one that you want to choose. So if you just click on that line, it automatically populates the species table over here. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to choose all my species before I go in and edit any of this stuff. So I have my lobster pots, my hook and line, I do striped bass. So I'll go down to striped bass. Again, click the plus sign, click round unclassified. Puts it over here. Say I also do bluefish. Click plus sign, round unclassified. It'll populate over there. I'm going to say I do get some Jonah crab as bycatch in the lobster pots, so I'm going to click on Jonah crab, ungraded, unclassified, and I do keep track of pounds, so I'm going to put in pounds. I'll add one more. I'm going to add in black sea bass. Sea bass is under sea bass, comma, black, and choose round unclassified. Now if you can't find a species in the tree or anything like that, or if you can't find your vessel or you're having trouble filling this out, please give us a call and we'll walk you through it. So now, I have this list of 5 favorite species. This order to appear on eTrip, that means how would you like these to be displayed within the trip report. If you're always catching lobster, you might want to put that one as first. If you're always catching striped bass, you might want to put that one as first. It's up to you. You can order the first 2, you can order all 5. As long as you have a 1 or you number in order, it will be acceptable. Disposition, so it's what was the species used for. In most cases, it's going to be either food or personal use. There may be some no catch. If you go striped bass fishing and you don't catch any and you want to report the trip, you can put in no catch as well. Catching horseshoe crabs, biomedical might be an option for you. The other one that is sort of popular can be bait. In this case, all of mine are going to be food. So I'm just going to go through and set all of that. And then I realize, oh wait, I do actually keep some of the striped bass for myself. So I'm actually going to go here and add a second line of striped bass. What that does is it resets all of the dispositions back to 0. So this is a good note. If you are setting your favorites and you do all of this work and then you think you need to add another species, just save prior to adding an extra species or you have to do it all again. But now you'll see I have 2 lines of striped bass. So this one I'm going to do as personal use and the rest as food. My sales dispositions, so that for personal use, there's only a few options here. So personal use, it's going to be no sale retained. Black sea bass is going to be sold to a dealer. Jonah crab is going to be sold to a dealer. Bluefish, again, dealer. Striped bass, again, dealer. The lobster, however, is going to be placed in a car. So now I can add a dealer, but first I'm going to save. Okay, they're saved again. Now you can see all of these species are saved, the gear is saved, the trip header is saved. Next thing I'm going to do is set my favorite dealer. I'm going to say that I sell most of my finfish species to Red's Best. So to search for a dealer, you click in that box and you type in any portion of the dealer's name. Now Red's Best may or may not have an apostrophe or something like that in this system, so I recommend just searching for a portion of the names. Then you click enter or click go. Then you get a top list of so many choices. You can scroll through if there's more. You can also do a separate second query and query within these results by typing in another part of the name. So if I search for red and I search for best, it comes up. I would just click select and it'll put in my favorite dealer. If I want to add another one, say I sell my lobster to Captain Joe's, so I'm going to put in Joe. Captain Joe is this dealer here, so I'll click select. Now I have two favorite dealers, and I'm going to click save. The last thing you can do is set additional dispositions. The only one I'm going to add, because I already used personal use and food in the species list, those will already be on your short list. I'm just going to add a no catch, because sometimes that does occur. So now my favorites are set. I did not talk about this part right here, but this include question mark with a yes or a no option. That means if you switch from using the lobster pots to solely hook and line, what you can do is you can just turn off that gear type, and it won't show up in your trip report anymore. One last thing is ordering the species in your species list. So as I mentioned earlier, the order to appear on an eTrips is listed right here. This is where you would number by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many species you have. You don't have to order every single one, you just have to order starting with 1. So in this case, I'm going to say striped bass is first, personal use, then striped bass food, then bluefish, then sea bass, then lobster, and then Jonah crab. Alright, save one more time, and these are all set. So that's how you set up your favorites. Now I'll just briefly go into a trip report so you can see what happens. So after you set up all of these defaults, if you go to trip reports, go to create new trip report, all of the information that you just entered in your favorites is now populated on this trip report. Here is your header, here is your effort, and then here are your species. And you can see that these species are listed as we ordered them in the order to appear field. In the next video, we'll go into how to actually enter the trip report itself. If you have any questions, please contact us at the phone number or email listed here. And you can also find additional information on our website. Thanks for watching.